It's so good. So wobbly. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to G-Rod Grills. My name is Gerardo and this is my channel. If you're into backyard barbecue on a variety of different grills, whether it's on pellet, charcoal, or electric, absolutely please consider subscribing because that's exactly what this channel is all about. Today I'm going to be making some pork belly burnt ends. Normally you see these made out of brisket. You take the brisket point, cube it up, sauce it, and do it in the pan and all that. But we're going to be using pork belly for this. Sometimes these are called meat candy, and the reason why they're called that is because they're exactly that. They're like sweet, they're so delicious, they're sticky, and they're like candy but made out of meat. So who doesn't want that? I'll walk you through how to make them and you'll see they're super easy to make. Really, you can't go wrong. Are you ready to get going? Let's go. Alright, here we go. This is how we're going to do some pork belly burnt ends. This is a belly I got from the store. You can probably get them at any of your butchers. It's got the skin removed already. You can see it's got, obviously quite a bit of fat. Some meat on there. We're going to render all that out. But first, we're going to trim it out. Alright, you can cut these to whatever size you like in terms of bite size. Just keep in mind that the meat is going to shrink as it cooks. So you don't want anything that's too small and then you end up with these little teeny tiny pieces. And you also, my personal preference, I don't want something that's too big. It's going to be multiple bites to eat into. I want them to be kind of like a one biter, pop them in. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to do probably about 2 fingers worth along each side here. So I'm going to go about there. And try to keep them even, that way they all kind of cook at the same pace. There we go. Now you got your pieces here. Now that you've got your strips, you're going to want to then now cube this up, and again, maybe I'll do 3 fingers on this, so we're going to go at about there. Try to keep them as uniform as you can. That's it. Now we're going to season these. All right, and pretty simple here as to how to season them. I'm gonna treat them almost like they're little mini ribs. So kind of the same type of seasoning. I want these to be nice and sweet, and I want the rub to kind of be stuck to everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna kind of cover them in a little bit of mustard, just to make sure my rub sticks to everything. You don't need to use a binder. Absolutely, you don't have to. I just like using it for making sure my rub sticks. All right, so now that we've got them all lathered up with a little bit of mustard, I'm just gonna transfer them all to a tray here. This is just gonna help me do the seasoning. All right, so now that I've got them in this tray, we're gonna season them here. So I am going to be using 2 layers of rubs. I'm gonna be using Meat Church's Honey Hog Barbecue, and I'm also going to be using Whiskey Bird's The Blazing Bird. This is gonna give me a little bit of kick to it, a little bit of spice, and the other one's gonna give me all sorts of sweetness. Now, I wanna be generous with our seasoning, pretty liberal dusting. You want to make sure you get it covered completely. Every piece gets this. You know what? I'm actually gonna do this. This will make it easier because then I can pick up some of that rub on the bottom and I'm not missing out on anything here. Okay, that's that one, and now we're gonna do it again with the Blazing Bird. And there you go. And now that we've got these all kind of fully covered, we're going to put them on the rack. And that's it. Now we're gonna let this sit out here until the meat kind of starts to sweat out. You'll see all those sugars kind of start melting in. The sugars and the salt melt into the meat itself. You can see it's starting to happen in some of the areas here already. So we're gonna let this sit out for about 10 or 15 minutes just while I get the Traeger ready. And then we're gonna put it on there. We're gonna be cooking at 275 degrees today. And I'm gonna be using a smoke tube to kind of supplement some of that smoke that I'm going to be missing out by cooking at a higher temperature. But I'll show you when we're ready to put into the smoker. All right, here we go. So these pork belly bites have been sitting on my counter for the last 10-15 minutes or so. They're starting to kind of sweat out. You can see some of the moisture kind of coming off. It's on my finger there. That's what we want them to be nice and moist as we put them in. then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these here. We're gonna smoke them for about 3.5, 4 hours maybe, and then we're gonna wrap them. But while we're smoking, I'm gonna come back and check it every so often just to make sure they're not overly drying out. And then I'll spin this rack around every so often as well. I'm gonna be spritzing, but I'll show you when I do that as well. All right, so it's been about an hour and a half. I've come in here, I kind of spun the rack around once already, just to kind of give them a little bit of even cooking, like I said earlier. Just gonna give them a little bit of a spritz here with some apple juice. And then I'm gonna come back and check it out in another half an hour to 45 minutes or so. We'll be at about the 2 and a bit hour mark. And well, I guess we'll see how it's going. We just wanna make sure that they're not really getting too overly dry. I did spin them around here, gonna flip them over to the fat side down so that that could protect the meat a little bit better. It was getting a little too dark, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Like I said, we'll come back about half an hour or so, give it another look. Okay, so we're about 2.5, 3 hours in, and you can see here, gotta get you a little closer. That color is looking perfect on these. They're looking mighty good. So I think we're good to go. We're gonna take these off and we're going to set them up for the last step here in getting these pork belly burnt ends finished up. I'll show you when we do that. Okay, so here we go. You can see here, hopefully you can see in the camera, nice little color on them. They're looking mighty good. What we're gonna do next here is I am going to drop some brown sugar over top. Just all over the top here. And then I'm going to put a little bit more of that Blazing Bird rub in there. Next, I'm going to drop in some butter, just some pads of butter all over the place. Next, some honey. Then I'm going to add some barbecue sauce. I'm using barbecue sauce by a buddy of mine, Paul from Far North Barbecue. Prairie Gold barbecue sauce. Tastes great. I'm gonna add quite a bit of it here. Probably about 1/4 of the sauce here. And then last but not least, I still have a little bit of this apple juice that we were using to spritz, so I'm gonna add just a couple splashes of that, just to kind of add a little bit more liquid into it. And then I'm gonna toss these around just to make sure they get fully covered in the sauce and the rub. All right, so this is all done here. Next thing what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover this in foil to kind of seal this up, and I'm gonna throw them back into the smoker for about an hour, hour and a half, and that's when I'll check them. I'm just gonna take my probe and just gonna feel for tenderness. And once once my probe goes in there, like a hot knife through butter, we're gonna be finished. So I'll see you guys once they're ready to go. I'll show you when I probe them so that you can see the tenderness side. All right, here we go. So it's been about another hour and 20 minutes or so, and these are ready to go. I'll show you here how we check for tenderness. You can see all the little pieces here. My probe is just going in and out, whoop, like butter. You can look at it going into the meat. They're all temping pretty tender, so we are done. So I'm gonna leave this cover off for the next 10 minutes or so, just to kind of let that sauce set a bit, and then we're gonna take it out, let it cool so I can eat it, and we'll give it a taste. All right, here we go. So it's been about another 20 minutes or so. I let it tack up a little bit for about 10 minutes, and then I let them rest for a little bit just so I don't burn my mouth when I try these. But they look absolutely fantastic. They smell fantastic, and I've had a little bit of the sauce and it's absolutely glorious. So good. Just have a look at these. They look absolutely amazing. So let's give it a try, shall we? All the fat in there is rendered out nicely. Get hit with all that pork flavor. It's just absolutely delicious. So wobbly. The sauce is caramelized nicely. It's sweet. You got a little tiny bit of the kick from that Blazing Bird. That's what's up. This is really good. Absolutely worth making them. It won't take all that long. Meat candy for sure. Absolutely perfect. That's all I got for you today. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. If you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any content. Until next time, I'll catch you on the next G-Rod Grills.